Evening and welcome to Overtime. Today, just about an hour ago, a little more than an hour ago, Congress released via Dropbox and a shared Google Drive roughly 33,000 documents coming directly from the Epstein files. We do not know a number of things yet, and this has some moving parts to it. So let's talk about what we know, which is almost nothing, and then we'll talk about the speculation, of which there's some. First of all, our understanding is that the Epstein files are roughly 100,000 pages. So this would make this release roughly a third of it. We believe at this point, the committee hasn't said much. It just basically dropped them. There are a few other things going on in regards to these files. We'll get to that in a second. But, and Carpathian's going through them. A lot of people are going to go through them. It's going to be a lot of documents. The Justice Department said initially that it would not give them all at one time, that it would give them in pieces to the committee. The chairman said that was fine. The committee has subpoenaed these documents. This is as opposed to a directive that we're going to talk about in a minute. The committee got enough votes to subpoena the documents despite the chairman's objection. So when the chairman sounds like he's being reasonable, keep in mind he voted against releasing these files. So at any rate, they have released 33,000. We do not know if this constitutes the entire Epstein files or just one of these drips and drabs of releases. Here on this show, based on the analysis that we've done, we believe that this does in fact constitute roughly 1/3, and that what we've seen out of the committee today suggests that there will be more drops of information. This is not all of it. What we've also seen is that the head of the committee said today that he was for releasing these documents, apparently in order to stave off a what is it? I've forgotten the name of it. A vote, kind of an override vote in Congress that was dropped today. Let me see if I can find that. We were already, like I said, there's a lot going on, and for tonight's show, we do have the normal in time scheduled for 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 2 hours from now, we're going to do the normal show, and we were going to discuss the potential release, and then they went ahead and released it, so we're gonna cover this breaking right now. Having said that, I'm going to make one more attempt here to find the description for the other show has it. I've spaced the name. Let's see. No, you know what? Maybe I can just apologies. Let me see if I can find it from the description for tonight's show. And tonight's show information. This is we just weren't anticipating going live. The all right. So what it is the and of course we don't have Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna have created what's called a discharge position. This is a position that forces a vote on legislation overriding the Speaker of the House, who is opposed to that vote. So right now, the House is planning on doing what the committee has already done, which is to have a vote in spite of the leadership. In order to prevent this vote, Speaker Johnson actually had them go into recess 2 weeks early. This is tantamount to the failure of a quorum. They couldn't vote because nobody was there. So it's clear that Speaker Johnson does not want a vote on this. So today, again, Representatives Thomas Massie, a Republican, and his Democratic co-sponsor Ro Khanna have created a resolution and are attempting to get 218 signatures for a discharge position, which would demand that the DOJ release all the files. The reason this is important is this would be different than a subpoena, which, while you'd think would have significant import, Trump has ignored subpoenas in the past. He's ignored congressional subpoenas in the past. In fact, in his first administration, ignoring congressional subpoenas, especially while he was in the process of being impeached, was par for the course. This is one reason why subpoenas for Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and a whole number of other people that have been issued in regards to this by the committee may just go ignored. He's already set that precedent, and unfortunately it cuts both ways. So, having said that, the chairman of the committee today said, by releasing these files, we are making moot the discharge position in the larger House of Representatives. That is simply not true. Again, we believe this is only a third of the documents. We do not yet know how much they've been redacted, and this would be different than a subpoena. This would be an actual order from Congress. Those are two different things. Subpoena is actually an order from a judge. So I'm hoping the discharge petition continues. My anticipation is that it's going to continue, but I suspect that the reason this happened so suddenly was because today Thomas Massie and 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐚𝐬 got started on their discharge petition. They submitted it today, and whoa, Nelly, the head of the, it's not the Judiciary Committee. What's the committee here that we're talking about? It's the House Oversight Committee. The head of the House Oversight Committee suddenly agrees to release 33,000 files and says this renders the discharge petition moot. So the reason this happened so quickly is most likely that the discharge position was filed to the House, and they believe it's going to pass. It will certainly get every single Democrat. It was sponsored by a Republican, and a number of Republicans appear to be for it. So this, and by the way, what this would do is it would create a separate order, ordering the DOJ to release the files themselves, meaning there will be two separate releases, one of the copy that was sent to Congress and another by the DOJ itself. Again, the only two people who seem to think that this is moot, and I'll grant it does appear redundant, is Speaker Johnson and the head of the Oversight Committee. Well, it wouldn't be an issue but for the fact that they appear to have been dodging it, and there have been redactions. Of the first batch of files that they got last month, it represented only 1% of the Epstein file. 1% of the Epstein file, 1 to 3%, and almost all of it had already been made public. So we don't know what to expect here. We do know that members of the judiciary will be meeting with Epstein victims tomorrow. This is a spectacular sign. This is a spectacular sign. You don't meet with the victims if you don't intend to follow through. It makes you look really bad. So my hope, there is one victim, the name was redacted, but we've aired her testimony on in time. It was graphic. It was testimony of an assault when she was 14 by then citizen Donald J. Trump, who was a client of Epstein's. This is sworn testimony. Now, we know for a fact that one of the reasons it's taken so long for the DOJ to do this is to redact all of the child pornography, of which there is a great deal. A lot of this is videos of children engaged in acts. They have said that they are going to remove all of that. Well, you can redact and should redact the children. The problem is, and one of the claims that they've made is, and the Justice Department has said this, having gone over all of the video, of the victims with the clients. They have not found even a single other indictable person. And they've got hundreds of these videos, minimum hundreds. And they haven't found one other person that can be indicted. That means the only people who committed crimes are Epstein and Maxwell. That's preposterous. That is absolutely absurd. 200 victims. We know of 200 victims from the testimony in court. 200. And the only two perpetrators are Epstein and Maxwell? Really? This is what we're supposed to buy, and some people are buying it. I, for one, do not. Having said that, so we have now 33,000 pages released. We do not know how much has been redacted. We do know that one of the reasons that this took so long was because they had to obfuscate at a minimum the children from the child pornography parts, which makes absolute perfect sense and is an absolute necessity. The other reason that we know because of a whistleblower was to redact Donald J. Trump's name from any of the file. We don't know how many times it was found. All we know is that it was found, and that at least one instance was redacted. So now the question is he going to be in any of it? Because if he's in none of the file, then we know he's been redacted, and we know he's been redacted. That's going to be even more suspicious. So my hope is that this is the start, and that this does not entice the larger Congress to not go ahead with their petition. My suspicion is they're going to go ahead with their petition. The Speaker has already come out and said that one of the reasons he's delayed the vote has been because there's no point in having a vote if the Oversight Committee is doing its work. The problem is, again, the Oversight Committee does not have the authority of the full Congress, and if the Oversight Committee is not getting the actual files, as we suspect, and as Johnson himself almost certainly knows, and the Oversight Committee is doing this against the express will of the chairman of the committee. That's a bad sign. But the Speaker of the House is like, well, don't worry, we won't do anything about it. Because they've got it under control, minus their chairman. There was, I believe it was today, a largely ceremonial vote in confidence of the Oversight Committee, saying that the Oversight Committee should continue to get all the files. They're going to, whether they get this vote or not. This vote does not empower them to do anything. It is a ceremony. It's just a, we have it's a vote of confidence in what they're doing, and saying as a body we approve of this investigation. Whether they actually mean that or not when it comes to doing something, we'll see. But when it comes to saying, hey, those guys over there that are doing the opposite of everything we want them to do, well, we're in complete support of them. That was Congress's vote today. So it's just for show, but there you go. So like I said, this release is 33,295 pages in total. Now, again, the ranking member, which would be the Democrat, the ranking member is opposite the committee chair, has said that the overwhelming majority of previously released material was already public. There have been a number of news organizations, including CNN, that have tied that statement to this release. I have a very hard time believing the 33,000 pages of material unless 90% of them are redacted, which they may well be. I have a very hard time believing that this is not going to contain new information. Keep in mind that the committee has issued, I forget the total number of subpoenas, but they've issued subpoenas to Ghislaine Maxwell. They've issued subpoenas to what's his name? Everybody you can think of that ever met Epstein, people from previous administrations, people who investigated Epstein previously. It's a pretty thorough list of subpoenas. So ostensibly, this doesn't start and stop with the Epstein files. However, I will say this. We've gone over, and we have on our Discord, if you come join us there, both the transcript and the audio from Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony to Donald J. Trump's private attorney, who also happens to be the deputy director of the DOJ. The deputy director of the DOJ is Trump's personal attorney. No, there's no conflict of interest there. In what capacity exactly was he interviewing somebody who may very well implicate Donald J. Trump in some of the worst crimes imaginable? My suspicion is everything she said there is a lie. Now, we've heard from several people, well, why would she lie and perjure herself? She could get into trouble. No, she can't. She had an immunity deal, but the immunity deal was that anything that she reveals in that discussion cannot be held against her so long as she tells the truth. If she didn't reveal anything in that discussion, then the immunity deal is meaningless. She didn't reveal any new information. She didn't implicate herself in any new ways, so the immunity deal can be taken from her. It's not going to do anything. And right now she's basically on work release anyway, because, when you're the ostensibly the executive assistant at an organization whose sole purpose it is to engage in the worst sex crimes you can imagine, and again, 200 victims. Yeah, it sounds like that's what Epstein got the first time around. In 2009, when he was convicted, he got work release. So I'm glad that they don't have any powerful clients or that they're not connected. I'd hate to see what justice would look like if they were connected. Anyways, we will be discussing this later tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern on Downtime. Hopefully by that point we will have seen more of the material and have more to discuss with you. The takeaway that we want you to understand here is this. Today they dropped 30,000 files. It appears this was done at the behest of the chairman, who has been fighting the entire thing. The chairman has said, now having dropped this, we do not need to worry about the discharge petition going through Congress. A discharge petition is a petition to pass legislation without the speaker actually formally putting it on the agenda. Basically, the speaker controls the agenda and what they do and do not actually hear, let alone pass. This would allow them to pass a order to the DOJ, a law ordering the DOJ to release all of its files. It's a discharge position, so it has to go. The only reason to do one is because the Speaker of the House is not permitting you to pass this legislation on your own. Representative Tom Massey and 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐚𝐬, got this petition officially entered today, and they need 218 signatures from the House, and it will pass, and they will, the United States House of Representatives will formally order the Department of Justice to release all the files. This is actually far more than just a subpoena. So my hope is they continue with this, but it appears that this, which happened today, is what inspired the sudden drop. So to me, again, this suggests that they're still trying to obfuscate something, because they're really trying hard not to get Congress to get into this any further, and they're dropping the 30,000 files on the same day that Congress is saying we're going to tell the DOJ they're required to release this on their own. it's interesting timing, to say the least. We're going to get into that tonight. We know nothing about these files. We don't know how many have been redacted. We don't know what percentage it represents of the entire Epstein file. We are reasonably confident it is not the entire file. And we have heard from the ranking member language that suggests they are anticipating more, but this was just suddenly ordered to be released, apparently by the chairman. So, who again said, well, okay, now that we've released, obviously Massey's and 𝐒𝐚𝐬's discharge petition is moot. That. If that's your reason for releasing it, there's a very serious problem. At any rate, we know that they are going to be meeting with a number of the victims. The committee is going to be meeting with a number of the victims. With this release happening, and they've already gone over these files. So these are files that they've gone over. They were also going to be redacting anything that needed to be redacted. So they've presumably gone over this. So if they're speaking directly to the victims, they should have a pretty good idea by close of business tomorrow how much of this is accurate and how much of this is not. So it's another good sign that everybody, except for the committee chairman, is taking this seriously. Also in the news today, Donald Trump, a federal judge earlier today determined that Donald J. Trump did in fact violate the Posse Comitatus Act by deploying both the National Guard and the Marines to Los Angeles. He has done two things. He has ordered that the remaining 300 National Guard be sent home, and he has ordered that Donald Trump not deploy any other military to any other state anywhere in this country. He said that Donald Trump was using it as his own personal police force. That is explicitly what the Posse Comitatus Act prohibits. It is crystal clear that there was no national emergency. There was no even the protests were well within the scope of what the police there were capable of handling, and the Marines there had been trained in the Posse Comitatus Act and what they were and were not allowed to do when they violated a number of elements of what they are not allowed to do. So this is obviously going to be appealed. That appeal will almost certainly go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we will see. Having said that, today Trump has also said that he is going to be sending troops to Chicago. So on the same day that he was found having violated Posse Comitatus and was instructed not to send any more troops anywhere, he came out and announced he is sending troops to Chicago. We will be discussing that and this release tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. Myself and 𝐒𝐨𝐮𝐭𝐭𝐞𝐫 are our regularly scheduled in-time show. You can see that show is already up. If you want to make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you get the notification when we do the show. And you can also join us on the Discord. We notify down there too. And I think, let me quickly check the live chat and make sure I haven't missed anything. No, I think we're good. So that's where we stand. A lot is going to hinge on what we learn and everybody. Every major news organization, Reuters, CNN, The Guardian, The Hill, everybody is going over. Well, I'm sure I missed a lot of the live chat today. I missed oh no. Yeah, I probably did miss a lot. I didn't. Tony Designs is number 3. I thought he quit YouTube. Dear Lord. All right. Fun. So yeah, Tony, if you're back and if you really want to hang, come join us. The in time is going to be 10 p.m. Eastern today, so you can meet 𝐒𝐴𝐮𝐭𝐬 and join us and have a good time. All right, thank you all for watching us, and again, you can find us on the Discord, and we will see what comes from these documents. We're expecting more. It looks like it was just a release because of the discharge that was submitted today. 218 votes. My guess is they've got the votes, so they're trying to peel off votes by saying, oh, no, we're releasing it. We'll see. Thank you all for watching, and we look forward to seeing you tonight. For most people, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tony, you can catch us at 10. I'll talk to you later. Night.